Good morning, everyone. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Welcome to episode 4 of a Second Chance Sundays. They're letting me do the intro, and I'm kind of nervous. Today, Ashlie and I are going to be talking about some of our own personal stories and struggles. But first, I wanted to let you know that this is a rough time of year for a lot of people out there. The holiday season, the missing family members, and the seeing other family members. On our news page, we have a list of resources that can help. You can go to www.theb.news and click on Second Chance Resource. We encourage you to call someone if you're feeling alone. There is hope out there, and we've both actually been there, man. And in the struggle with holiday depression, on seasonal depression, it's a real thing, man. It's not a made-up deal. So a lot of us struggle with it. She has her emotional support bear there.
I have the support bear.
I
needed a little confidence.
Kind of feeling all alone here.
If you want to borrow my emotional support bear, I'll absolutely share her with you. Yeah, we're going to share our stories. So today, instead of having a special guest, we're going to talk about what we went through and kind of just let you know that we're human. We've been through it too, and hopefully it can reach somebody who's going through it, and anyone going through it. Yeah, absolutely. So it's hard to be vulnerable, and it's very scary. So if we're a little intimidated, bear with us. It's just, it's a lot to put your stuff because everybody worries about judgment.
It's a big deal about judgment, because it's easy to sit there watching us going, God, how come they don't talk about that? How come they don't do that? Why don't you do that? Well, guess what, man? Tell everybody your secrets.
It's hard.
It's tough, man. It's tough because there's a lot of judgmental people out there. But it's on the second hand. Even just sitting here today, in Firehouse Coffee near Bullhead City, Arizona, a member just happened to be having coffee, and they're asking us about recovery because they know what we do. Because Jeff, introduced himself and said, "Hey, man, we're here doing this thing Second Chance Sunday." So we got the opportunity to talk to another addict out there.
And it was so nice and refreshing just to kind of, for me, humble ourselves and talk to them, because
that's
struggle.
Real. That's real.
That's very real.
That's real. That's right now.
Yeah.
Somebody that's actively struggling with alcohol and addiction, and that's what I get off on helping people like that.
Yeah.
I love to help another person,
And it's so nice. For me, the biggest thing I was telling him is, like, I felt so alone. And I still go through that and still struggle through that. But just to know that, you're not alone, that there are other people who either are going through it or have gone through it.
Or going to go through it.
Or, yeah, exactly. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's hurting inside. Or, not everybody, but there are plenty of people hurting outside, and everybody wants to put on this, like, my life's perfect, like, and it's not. It's really not.
Famous.
Yeah, my mom says that, like, I wish I had, or she says, I wish I had the life that Facebook thinks I have. Or,
right.
Because we want to be,
everything's
okay.
Perception.
Yeah, everything's okay. I'm living perfectly. Nothing's wrong. But that's what's hurting us, is that pretending that everything's okay. So getting our story out there is to show that, like, hey, our lives are a hot mess, or have been a hot mess, and we are. My life, yes, my life was. Oh, you don't even know, but you're gonna know,
right.
And
you're gonna know a lot about us in the next couple Sundays.
And I hope it helps for the people that are struggling, or family members that are struggling, watching whoever is going through it. I pray that it does reach the people that it needs to reach.
Right.
So
all right,
he's up first. Joey's gonna start.
Yeah, I drew the short straw.
I drew the short.
So the deal is I grew up here in Bullhead City, Arizona. My family moved me out here when I was probably 5. I'm the baby of 4. I got 2 older brothers and an older sister. My next sibling up is 5 years older. And we moved out to Bullhead, and back then there was nothing out here. There was a lot of dirt bike riding and that kind of thing. But I had always felt alone a little bit, different, and I come from a mom and dad that have been married until my dad died. They're married 46 years or something. My mom and dad own their own business, so a middle class family, had toys and bikes and this, that, and the other. But on the inside, I was always the class clown, wanting attention, starving for something. I felt like I was all alone. because my next sibling was 5 years older than me. So I had to fend for myself pretty much. My mom and dad liked to play in the casinos. I was raised over there in arcades where today, if at my age, when I was over there hanging out in arcades, like riding the buses to casino, you'd be arrested for child neglect or something. I mean, I was over there by myself at 10, 11, 12 years old running the arcades, you know. I remember when I first got introduced to it starts out the same as, I've heard it a million times. I hate using the word gateway anything, but I was a kid and I remember going to uncles' weddings and stuff and grabbing a bottle of champagne with my cousins and grabbing that, and everything is fun for whatever reason. I hate using that word, but when you're a kid, you're changing the way you feel, and so started out. I remember stealing a bottle of champagne. I think at 6 or 7 at one of my uncle's weddings, you know, with my cousins and everybody. Hey, let's go grab some beers. Or mom and dad having poker night. Here, kid, here, drink this. You know, just stupid shit.
Yeah.
Excuse. Ooh.
Nope, you're fine.
Sorry.
Good kid.
I forgot I was on.
This is real. It's okay.
It's real. It's okay.
You're okay.
I forgot where.
Nope,
I have a potty mouth a lot of times, and I'm sorry, but
You're
lost
6
my
or
train.
7.
Yeah,
You were 6 or 7.
Going through that
champagne.
stuff. I remember the first time I smoked pot. I was real young, and it was just a thing to do. It was a fit-in thing. And again, I hate using peer pressure, but if I really look at it as an adult and I look back there, it's peer pressure, man. It was to fit in.
Yeah.
Because I always felt like the odd man out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
When I found pot, and I kept doing that. It was a weekend thing in junior high and stuff. Every weekend, hey, let's go get a bag of weed and go drinking and this kind of thing. You kind of shut the noise off inside my head, you know. And then, at some point in my life, you know, I had a issue come on with an adult that really damaged me as a kid.
And thank you for sharing that.
You
Being strong
know,
enough.
and that's hard to say out loud, man. It's hard to say because all these people out here, you know, I had a real bad thing happen to me when I was a kid from an adult that was trusted, and I blame myself. I felt dirty. I felt bad, and so I could put more stuff in my body. And
to try to cover up the pain
and
oh, it never happened, and blinders on, and
build up those walls.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I carried that around with me for years and years and years and years, and until I was in a thank you so much. Until I was able to be free of it through working steps in a 12-step fellowship, which we'll talk about later on. But that was a catalyst for entering into everything. And I believe that the party scene, for lack of a better word, when you're in junior high and freshman, sophomore year and stuff, I've always hung out with kids older than me. Always. I never fit in with anybody my own age. They're playing with toy trucks or whatever, and I'm teaching people how to do cake stands, whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I want to be older. I want to be.
Exactly.
I want to. This makes more sense. Like for me, I do the same thing. I always hung out with older people too.
I was just
made more sense.
The older crowd was 5 to 10 years older than me all the time. I was always the clown, the funny guy, this, that, and the other, screaming on the inside half the time.
Yeah.
And it's weird to talk about that out loud because I know a lot of people out there. A lot of people know me, man. So it's weird to talk like that. And then going through, I guess it's hard to go back because like today I realized that I have a disease of addiction.
Yeah.
But I see traits of it from when I was a child. Before I ever put anything in my body.
Yeah.
You know, the selfishness and self-centeredness, the always feeling alone even in a room of people.
Yeah.
The needing for attention, the needing for a hug, the needing for love.
Comfort.
Yeah, all that stuff. So obviously smoking pot all through junior high, this, that, and the other, drinking every weekend. And the weekends became shorter. And then it was, instead of just Friday, Saturday, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Instead of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was, hey, what are you doing this Wednesday? My parents are going out of town. Now it's a day in the week. And it all started with drinking and smoking weed. And then somebody broke into somebody's pill cabinet, taking pills. Crystal meth in this town was huge. So this is back in the day. So got onto snorting and smoking speed. You know what I mean? And that was I did that and stay up for a week and run amok and do whatever. I'd like to say do homework, but I don't think I actually
I'd like to say I did homework now.
But I was just a mess, man. And that was my drug of choice, DOC, for a long time was crystal meth, man. And it's funny, I look back, and I can't say it was a nightmare all the time. I had fun for a while, or what I perceived as fun.
But it's true, you know.
It was never I did it and my life was miserable. No, man.
It doesn't start off like that.
It's all fun and carefree, and you haven't had unmanageability yet because the disease hasn't affected me yet. So once I got a habit going of crystal meth in the party scene and changing the way I feel, then the unmanageability of the disease of addiction kicks in, where I become a thief, where I become just a stone cold liar, to lie to my parents to get anything, or to steal something of my dad's and go pawn it and leave the pawn ticket there because I know he's going to go get it. You know, my parents were enablers. They never wanted to think that their baby son was a drug addict.
Yeah.
You know, that was every parent's worst nightmare.
Of course.
It's my worst nightmare. I got sons out there. I got sons, a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old out there. It's scary.
It is.
And it's scary. So the pain I put my parents through is something that I can never give back. All I can do is do a positive change for the future. And again, we'll talk about that in another episode. But so going on through that, and it started out just snorting lines, and it's weird the progression of the disease of addiction.
How it does go through.
It went through. I would just do bump here, bump there, bump here, to doing rails like this, and then
to the extreme,
to the
full extreme, and that's when you start needing it. It's not recreational anymore.
And turned into smoking it, into being an IV drug user, and it went bad, and through broken marriages, broken relationships with the parents, being asked to leave my house at like 16, and no fault of nobody's. At the time, I like to point fingers and go, God, you hate me. Oh, you're always picking on me. Oh, this, oh, this, oh, this. Because us addicts, or me, I don't know everybody else, but I like to point the blame to everybody else.
Of course, because it's so hard to reflect on yourself and see your own flaws.
Right.
It's so much easier to see everyone else's flaws.
I'm not looking at myself, dude.
No, it's terrifying. It's scary.
Dude, let me get this straight. I'm mad at my mom and dad for kicking me out of the house for lying and stealing their stuff and bringing shady people into their house. It's their fault they're kicking me out. Yeah, give me a break.
No, not at all.
It's a goofy thing, man, and so that was my deal. I was never into the opiates back then. I was never into pills. I didn't get it, this, that, and the other. Just my life was a wreck in some of the sketchy places I put myself in, some of the sketchy people I hung out with. Just the living, my whole life was a facade, a lie. Again, to fit in.
Yeah. And do you know, like for me, I'm still trying to figure out who I am as a sober person. Like, who exactly am I? Because I hid for so many years. Like, and
I think it's a forever process. I'm trying to figure out who God wants me to be, who I want to be, where I want my journey to end. You know what I mean? And it's so hard because I was numb for so many years. I guess that's what I was trying to do. I was just trying to be numb from the childhood traumatics that happened to me.
And then the added traumatics from going through the addiction and putting yourself in there. And
and to numb myself from feeling guilty for getting high.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like full circle. It's a cycle. Just go.
I remember back in the old days there was a commercial. I do dope so I can go to work so I can make money. So I do dope so I can go to work so I can make money. It's that gamut of I think that's a real analogy of it. Just the utter pain and loneliness and isolation. There's been several times where without putting a gun in my head and pulling a trigger that I wanted to die, that I hoped I died.
Yeah.
That I put myself in situations that might have killed a normal person and just being okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean, doing so much.
Purposely being reckless.
Yeah. Just purposely being reckless and not caring about the results.
Yeah.
Because then I'd really get attention. And then I'd get so demented, like, I wonder who would come to my funeral.
Yeah, and start thinking about that.
Yeah. Would anybody even show up?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of, it's just a weird thing. And being able to talk to this gentleman earlier, it's and then his wife's there asking this question, going, well, how come he lies? How come he's doing this? How come he's doing that? Because he's damn addict, man. That's what we do best.
But you know what? That support, and giving her that hope that she too, because she's not alone and he's not alone, and just so they both know, because it's
the wife of an addict is just as sick as the addict, in a different way, because they're enabling. They listen to the bullshit. They keep giving money and car keys. And I remember one time my ex gave me the car keys to run to the store. She didn't see me for 3 days. No phone call, no nothing. Hey, I'll be right back. Give me your keys and your money.
Yeah, and you don't think like, oh, I'm hurting her or I'm hurting this person. You're like so focused on, this is what I'm going to do. I'm out to get high.
It's never deliberately to hurt somebody. Like, oh, I'm going to burn this person.
But it does. It so deeply hurts them. Yeah. Like, I see the pain that my mom, that I put her through, I can see when I talk to her.
Right.
And, tell her, and it's just, it hurts me to know that I was so selfish, and my kids, the guilt I have for that.
Right.
Oh man, it's bad. Like, I feel like they missed out on so much because I was so selfish.
That's a guilt thing that I'm battling with.
Yeah.
It's now that I got 385 days clean and sober today, which is 1 year and 20 days, and I still go through guilt going because I was a crappy parent.
Yeah.
I did my disease. I robbed my children. I robbed time, and time is more precious than anything else.
It truly is, and they didn't get the full you. Like that's what I go through. They never got the full me.
That's guilt that I still today, sitting here talking to you, that I still have that guilt that I robbed my children of time. And that's time is something where you can't go, here, man, I robbed you of this. You can have it back.
Yeah, I cannot.
Can never get that back.
Yeah.
So then I find myself overcompensating.
Yeah.
and oh, here, you take this. You know what? I'm coming to a point where, okay, here's the deal. There's no more of that. Now we got boundaries and ground rules because kids will take advantage of that.
Yeah.
The family members will take advantage of that sometimes. So it's like, I got to be careful. But anyway, in 92, I did some jail time. I stole from my parents. I stole some checks from my dad's account. And this is how careless I was. I just wrote them out to myself in cash and emptied out an account. And we ended up going to jail for that for a while. And then I checked myself into a treatment center in Texas, in Dickinson, Texas, in 92. And I started a journey there. I stayed in Texas for a year. And that was where, and it's weird, my story's got a couple different parts because I've had long periods of recovery twice.
Yeah.
I've had 7 years clean and sober once until the turn of the millennium, and I thought I could drink again.
Yeah.
I go, man, I got 7 years. I'll never do dope again, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah.
I can handle drinking.
Yeah.
And I tested the philosophy or the theory that maybe I'm not an addict. Maybe it was just a phase.
Yeah.
And I had a drink that night on New Year's Eve '99, and that took me back out.
Immediately, right?
Within 7 days, I was locked in the bathroom.
Oh, you made it 7 days?
I made it 7 days.
Not me. As soon as I drink, it's within a matter of hours.
Yeah, no, I'm in 7 days of just controlled drinking, I'd like to call it. But 7 days later, I was locked in the bathroom, and I was in that bathroom for 6 years.
Yeah.
Just running amok. And it wasn't until another failed suicide attempt and utter desperation, I checked myself into another facility in 2005. And that was in Texas again. I got a brother out there in recovery in Texas, so whenever Joey would go off the deep end, my brothers would beat me down and send me to Texas.
No.
But this
kind of get you away from it, probably, or away from that, and that's good. That's the best way, kind of, to do it.
It is. Here's the only problem. They say in my program that I'm in, they say that geographicals don't change because I always take me with me.
Yeah, and I love that saying. I watched that.
If you can't move away, because guess what? I'm taking myself with me.
You're still there.
I'm going to be there. If nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yeah.
If the environment outside changes, it's still me. What do they say? You can turn a cucumber into a pickle, but once it's a pickle, you can't turn it back into a cucumber.
Yeah.
You can't do that. It doesn't go backwards like that. So until I was ready to fully concede that I'm an addict, period, 100%, I have a disease called addiction. I can't have one of anything. Look, I don't have one of anything.
But you recognize that now.
And like today, it's like I get a coffee, I come in, I'm freezing cold, I'm super tired. This happened 10 minutes ago when I got this. I go, how many shots are in that? They go 3. I go, add 2 more.
Oh.
So I got 5 shots in here. It's a disease, it's an addiction thing where one is never enough of anything for me. And I do recognize it today. You know, everything I do today is full pin, throttle. And it's just a trip. I did my drugs and drinking like that too. And
yeah, like there's no lightness about it. It's full extreme.
And whether because of the childhood stuff, the bad stuff.
I'm so proud of you. I want to say that. I am so proud of you because so many men a lot of men actually go through that, and that's such a hard thing.
More than anybody will ever admit go through that.
Exactly, and to admit that and put yourself
in front of all you people.
In front of all you people, but to put yourself out there.
It's real. It's just you're not alone, man. It's bad shit happens to kids all the time,
and it's terrifying. It's so scary to think. You know,
it destroys children.
It
does. Destroys adults from that. You know, and the only way I've been able to kind of, for lack of a move on from that, is by sharing my story and to reach out to help somebody else that's been through it.
Yeah, and
you know,
and I'm amazed and really, really proud of you for being able to do that. You have no idea, because there could be a man sitting here now.
It's part of my story, man. And my link is on this thing. If anybody needs to talk about it, you can click on my name and DM me or whatever, man. But it's affected my life. It's affected relationships, man. I found myself just going through relationship after relationship after relationship, trying to equate
your self-worth.
Right.
Yeah, I have struggled with that myself.
Or mixing up love for sex or sex for love, that kind of thing. You know, it's a weird disease, man. And unless I've never heard anybody talk like we've talked.
Yeah.
Out in the open in front of all those people out there.
Yeah.
I mean, we get a lot of viewers.
But that's what needs to happen, because everybody wants to hide. It's like we were talking about earlier. It's like you want to hide, nothing's wrong, everything's okay, look at how perfect my life is. It's not. We all go through
Look how good I'm doing. Check my Instagram.
Yeah, right? And it's not. That's not the case. There's so many hurting people, and then it snowballs, like whether you cover it up and pretend everything's okay, whether you shop, whether you gamble, whether you do drugs or drink, it's some form of covering up some kind of pain.
100%.
Yeah.
For me, it was like I said all the time, I just like to feel different.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling good, I want to feel different. If I'm feeling bad, I want to feel different.
Yeah.
And I was addicted to more. I want more fun. I want more excitement. I want more this. I want more of this. I want more caffeine. I want more ugly sweaters.
More ugly sweaters. I think this sweater's beautiful. It lights up. I didn't want to distract you guys by lighting it up. No, and I get that, and I'm the same way. Like, it just, keep going, or like I'll try to distract myself from what I'm really feeling. But I recognize that now. I see my flaws. I am selfish. I am, I get lost in me, and it's not all about me. And I'm realizing that. I mean, I'm realizing these flaws that I have, and it's hard. It's hard to recognize that.
It's hard to look at yourself in the mirror.
Oh, it's so hard.
My brother, I love my brother to death, and he's the type of, he's a businessman. He's like, hey man, strip down naked. That's what I'm working with. This is me.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor for life, man. Just look, this is what I'm working with.
And you know what?
Guess what? I'm Joey Merrigan. I live in Bullhead City, Arizona. He likes to call me out because I like to be a little bit on the crazy side or edgy side. He goes, dude, you're not Brad Pitt from Hollywood. You're Joey from Bullhead, man. Live your life. He goes,
accordingly.
Yeah,
live your life accordingly.
I guess.
Man, but you know what? It's amazing that you can recognize that, and I think that's where the shift happens. And like that's why maybe this time is different, is because now you can recognize and realize who you really are and accept that. Like for me, that's what I go through. I can accept who I am. It's not fun, and it's, gives me that little bit of anxiety, but this is who I am, and now I can move forward. I see that I'm not perfect.
Right.
See that I can't pretend to be perfect and hide everything.
Like me or love me or whatever, don't. It's okay, man.
It's okay.
It's okay. We can't be loved by everybody.
No, absolutely not.
And my self-worth doesn't matter on what you think of me.
No, exactly.
Today.
Exactly.
It did for many, many years.
Yeah.
And with the disease of addiction and treatment and stuff like this, it's more than just going to a meeting and then going on better, or going to a detox or a facility and coming out and going, okay, I graduated. It's not. It's a lifelong deal that I go through. You know, it's if I don't do something daily for my recovery, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
And what I've learned through the 12-step program that I'm in is anything I put in front of my recovery, be it a relationship, be it a child, be it my business, anything I put in front of my recovery will be the first thing I lose. Every single time. I've proven it and proven it and proven it. And they say, like, whatever, I say whatever. Relapse is not a requirement. I know a lot of people that got 20 years clean, 30 years clean, who walked in and just went to some meetings and got they call it a desire tag or whatever, and stopped using right there. They surrendered to their disease and never had to pick up again. It's not a prerequisite. It's somebody. There is people out there that can just that have a disease of addiction that do a daily treatment for their disease and stop. Me, relapse was part of my story. You know, it's because I just kept banging my head with a frying pan. Like, it's not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough.
This isn't working.
Right.
Yeah.
And then after my relapse, and we'll get into you here right now or something, but next week or whatever, when we're talking about how I found the recovery program, is when I got introduced to the opiate epidemic.
Yeah.
Man, my life turned to hell.
Oh, yeah.
In a handbasket.
Yeah.
Because that's what's the horrible thing out there, man. It's when I got clean this time, it was off opiates. It's off of
and
everything.
That's hard.
It's off of everything.
Physically, yeah.
No, mentally, physically, spiritually, everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's. I recently quit smoking cigarettes, and you know what? It was the same hardness.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a cigarette.
All right.
Tell us about you.
Okay, so I've actually had a couple bouts of recovery, huh?
We're going to get into Ashlie next week.
Oh, okay.
But I do have a question. We do have, so Jenny Clem, she's watching, and she has a question for
Hi,
you,
Jenny.
Joey. How do you get away from peer pressure and still feel welcome?
Okay, here's it. Last night, after doing what I do, being in recovery, like I was nervous coming in here because I got a business in town and I've been in town for a while, so whatever, we both know a lot there, and so it's hard getting up here and being naked in front of everybody.
Vulnerable.
And vulnerable, that's the word, sorry.
Yeah, putting
vulnerable
all of it out there.
But what's funny is people, when I was using, they would see me on the streets or in the casinos or something, go, God, look, and he's an effing mess over there. And I didn't care. But now all of a sudden when I get into recovery, I want to be quiet about it and go, hey, no, I'm in recovery. Don't tell them I'm in recovery or something. Guess what? People knew when I was loaded.
Yeah.
So I want people to know when I'm clean, too, and doing the right thing. But to answer your question about peer pressure, I did a big Christmas party last night at a cop friend of mine's house out in Fort Mojave, but people know that I'm in recovery. They don't offer, it's a joke, like, hey, there's a white elephant gift, and you know what, I got a bottle of Amaretto or something, and they're all trying to trade me out of it.
Yeah, real quick.
You know, but it's, I don't fall to peer pressure today because I have a daily maintenance on my recovery program. You know, I know what I can be around. Now, I'm not going to go into a heroin gallery and start hanging out there, but I'm also not going to run away from a bar, you know, or a bottle of beer. You know, it's just
you just know that for you cannot.
Right, I'm just
you cannot. Put yourself in that position.
Alcohol wasn't the problem. I'm the problem.
But alcohol leads to the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's me that's the problem. It's not the substance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know some people that are in recovery where if they're walking down the street and they say Bob's Tavern, they get all scared and they walk across around the side. It's not going to suck me in, and I'm going to go in there and they're going to force me to drink. If I make a decision to go in there and drink, that's my decision. I choose not to live that way today. I choose to be stronger. I go through my life, and drugs and alcohol aren't a part of my life unless I'm sharing my story or at a meeting or something like that. But it's never like, oh God, I'm not going to think about drinking today. It's a no thought. It's a nothing. It's I don't think about it or not think about it. If that makes any kind of sense.
It does. It does. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
I live my life today, and I just go on. I trudge through the daily stuff of the day. I try to always keep a spiritual connection.
Me too.
I'm not.
Very much so.
I'm not religious. you know, for one thing, I do believe in God, and I pray on a regular basis. I prayed before we came up here.
Yeah, me too.
I believe in spirituality. You know, there's too much proof in my life that there's something better than me out there.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what it is. And you know, I went to Mojave High. Who am I to try to figure out
the world,
the dynamics of the world?
Yeah. It's too big.
I got enough trying to figure out what I'm gonna do for lunch.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Too much to think about.
So that's a trip. But thank you, JD. I love you, and Merry Christmas.
And then Renee Muniz Senior said, "Thanks for always sharing." He deals with anxiety and has had addiction. But he wanted to share with you that he has been clean and sober since June 24th of 2011. And that he's living one day at a time.
That's a rock star right there.
Yes, congratulations.
That's huge, man. And we like hearing stuff from people, man. It's huge.
Yes.
The episode we did with Patty about my nephew, we had so many people interact with us and hit us up offline and talk about different things, man. And that's what the Second Chance Sunday is about. It's not about her or me, man. It's about y'all. You know, it's about somebody out there locked in the basement that happens to have the bee on, thinking there's no way out, and knowing that you know what, this pretty young lady right here has been where you're sitting at. She's been in that utter despair, that utter isolation, that utter loneliness. I've been there. I've you know, it's the horrors of the disease of addiction is huge. But the one thing to remember out there, guys, is you're not alone. You're never alone. When you're ready for recovery, you're not isolated. You're not alone.
You're not the only person that is going.
Right.
And then Ethel Hengerer, probably messing that up.
She's saying your name wrong. I promise. I promise this is happening.
She said, "I'm not new to this. I have 25 years clean."
Awesome. Awesome.
And she's requesting us to get her some information on hotline numbers and everything that we can go ahead and she can distribute to people that she knows. So her idea of helping herself stay clean and sober is by helping others.
That's the whole key.
That is,
and
that's
the
dynamics to 12-step
provide her
program.
for some information.
Absolutely, yeah. Hit me up or hit Kat up. That's the dynamic of every 12-step group in the world is in the program I'm in, and I don't say the program live because it's traditions of anonymity. But one sick person helping another is without parallel. There's magic in that, and again, that's okay. And that's one of those things where who am I to try to figure out why it works? They've been doing this since the early 20s when the first 12-step group was made. One sick person helping another, because guess what? Your normal wife, for lack of, I know there's really no such thing, fellas, out there as a normal. Just kidding. That'll get me feedback. I'm just teasing out there. But for a normal person who doesn't suffer the disease of addiction or alcoholism, they will never understand what Ashlie goes through. If Ashley's husband's out there or whatever, or mom or dad, he's never gonna go, "Oh, I get what you're talking about." Never. It's impossible for somebody who's not inflicted with the disease of addiction to know what the addict thinks, feels, or does.
And that's what the couple went through that we had talked to.
Right.
They're gone now, but they were here, and she was like, "I just don't get it. Like, I don't get why he's lying to me. If he loves
Because he's supposed to.
Because it goes, it just goes along with it, and you know, they're both hurting. You can see it in both their eyes. They were, you know, in pain, and one from doing it, one from
being an enabler and being walked on and being okay with that. It's she don't know she's being walked on. It's love.
Yeah.
You know, she loves her old man, and she's trying to do anything, but they're getting ready to get a divorce over this. You know, and I told him, I go, dude, if nothing changes, because he was in active addiction, alcoholism. I said, dude, you're me sitting there, and you're never going to change until you lose everything. Yeah. It's called hitting a bottom, man.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about that next week, man. But until I hit my emotional, spiritual, physical bottom, it couldn't open up the gateway to recover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same here.
Same here. We all got to hit the bottom, and it's not up for me to rob you of your bottom. And how many times have you had your parents? I've had mine. People pray over you, preach over you, drag me into meetings or rehabs. It's never going to work now. I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know, I get people that call me up, and I get hit up all the time. Hey, my son's got a problem. Can you help him? Nope.
No. Not until he
I can
is
show
the
him
one
where
to
the
call
help
me.
is. I can show him where the help is, but
Yeah.
you can't call me for somebody else.
No.
He's got to
Absolutely
reach out to me.
Yeah, because you hit your end. Like, I was joking with my mom that rock bottom has a basement, and I hit it hard.
I
it was
love
painful.
that.
I saw that
Rock
somewhere,
bottom
but
has a basement.
oh man, it was brutal. But I had to hit it like that. Otherwise, nothing would have changed, and I wouldn't be evaluating myself. Like, okay, you need to change as a whole, as a person. So, all right, you guys. Again, if you need any information, please go on to the www.v.news. And if you're curious or want to talk or listen, come down to Firehouse. We're here every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. and we'll shoot live. We'll talk to you guys after the show. Come be a part of it. And thank you guys for watching.
And Merry Christmas for real,
Merry
man. Merry Christmas, and do you do all the thanks things for the Firehouse and
Oh yeah, thank you Firehouse for having us.
Firehouse,
thank you to be
JP's, all that stuff.
Yeah, thank you for letting us do this and getting our stories out there.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Bye guys. Good job. Oh, I'm so
Yeah,
proud of you.